What's up, everybody? Welcome into a special Halloween edition of SSPN Live. We're coming off a big Spurs
Ooh.
win. Oh, look at that! There you go, Ethan. I love the spirit to start it off. We got a big Spurs win. They're 5-2. We would not have predicted that 7 games in. And then on top of that, you guys might have seen my two reactions that I did on the day of the Chicago Bulls game to Josh Primo being waived. And then the post game, we obviously talked about the great win that it was, and you were there, Ethan. I definitely want
Yeah.
to recap that as well. But then we also talked about him putting out his mental health statement. And now we have a little bit more details. You and I were just talking about it a little bit before we got started. I figure we'll kick it off with that. We'll just start with the Josh Primo fallout. ESPN reported on Saturday that, it wasn't just mental health, kind of like I was saying in the live. I felt like there's a little bit more. And this is the one time where I'm sad to be right because there were multiple alleged instances of Josh Primo exposing himself to women. A Spurs staffer is getting the same lawyer as Deshaun Watson. So that'll tell you one thing. And then on top of that, there was also a Reddit post on Wednesday night on Friday night after the Bulls game. And it was like, nobody's going to believe me, but I work at a Four Seasons in Minneapolis. And apparently Primo, this person heard, they said on Reddit, it's Reddit, but still, that he had exposed himself to housekeeping. And then we get the news Saturday. So sorry to start off with a somber tone here, but just wanted to talk about that because that was some big details regarding that after all the crazy news on Friday.
Yeah, dude, it's very sad. Not only as a Spurs fan, but just as like a human. Like you never want someone to do that. It's just it's tough to see because it feels. I know he's only been here for like what 2 years now, but it feels like we've watched
He
him
was
kind
on
of
the billboards. I mean, he was the chosen one. He was the
supposed
the
to be the face of
opener
the
of
franchise.
the self campaign.
It's very sad to see. It just goes to show you never really know what someone's like until you have a personal relationship with them. I'm not sure how much the team knew. Probably not at all because they released him pretty quickly without much say. Sorry about that. It's my dog. But yeah, it's just tough to see. I don't really have any other words to say about it because it's at this point it's water under the bridge. But you hope he finds the mental health help he needs, I guess, to get over this hump and become a better person. But at the same time, I don't think he deserves to be on an NBA roster at least for the foreseeable future because it's pretty bad what he did.
And he did clear waivers. So it
Yeah.
seems like, I mean, and the way that this came out too, it came out that how this came out was other teams were trying to figure out what the heck was going on because so many people were just like, this kid's so talented. Like, okay, we've got this mental health statement, but still, most of the league, just like you and me, and a lot of people out there, we're kind of skeptical still. So this kind of explains it. Unfortunately, there's some other details that line up, and it's just an unfortunate situation. But we can move on from that because the Spurs, Ethan, last night, down 5 people, Blake Wesley gets hurt. They still find a way to beat a full-strength Minnesota Timberwolves team 107-98. Keldon has 25. Doug has 23. I mean, tell me what you thought watching the highlights from that one last night.
Dude, we look way better than I thought we would at this point in the season. Just we've talked about it after the first couple games when we blew out Minnesota and we blew out Indiana. I know they kind of came back in both of those games, but developmentally, offensively, just the cohesiveness of this team, missing pieces and with those pieces, we just seem so. I don't even know what it is. We seem so together. We figured it
Mm-hmm.
out. We have great chemistry already. The ball continues to move. It doesn't stick. Shots are falling. Keldon Johnson is turning into a star before our very eyes and a great leader and a much better defender than I think anyone was giving him credit for going into the year. And team defense has been way better than I thought it was. Communication is high. I knew that everyone was kind of aware of the fact that this team kind of got along, but
Mm-hmm.
that only goes so far. I don't know what it was. I don't know if this was just without DeJounte Murray. We've had to really come together as a team. I don't know if this is Pop doing just his best coaching of his career, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
we're just not giving Keldon and Devin enough credit for how good of players that they are. And then, Trey Jones really stepped up, become a very capable starting point guard, a much better scorer than anybody thought he would be. Jakob Pertl continue to do what Jakob Pertl does, and then guys continue to step up each game. this past game against Minnesota. Keita with 18, Doug with 23. I don't think anybody expected that. And just the next
Yep.
man up mentality has been strong this season because we haven't had our full team other than those first like 2.5, 3 games. And Blake Wesley's a perfect example of that. Devin Vassell's out, Josh Richardson's out, Josh Primo gets waived. I'm sure he wasn't expecting to play as much as he did against Chicago and Minnesota, and he was terrific. I thought he was aggressive. He was not really sloppy with the ball. Not a lot of. I don't think he turned it over. He turned it over once in Minnesota,
Mhm.
but just looking, for the best shot available, whether that mean pass it off or get all the way to the cup or pull up from three. And that mentality goes for everybody on the squad, Jude. And I'm amazed. I am very, very amazed. If we can continue to play at this level and play at this pace, Devin comes back, Keldon comes back, we might need to trade some guys earlier if we're wanting to really go full tank mode. Because at this rate, we might be pretty competitive to make the playoffs, Jude, and that's kind of nuts to me. I don't think this is a fluke anymore.
Oh, yeah, that I'm starting to feel that way too, Ethan. I could echo everything you just said. In regards to that, I want to wait and see what happens, to see if the league can whip something up to slow this team down because
Hmm.
I think definitely like what you said is super true because if you look, I think the Minnesota series yes, it's early in the season, but that's a great example because you're 2-1 against them. You were down, like I said, four dudes. You're basically your entire power forward room got sick.
Yeah,
Like, and on top of that, Jay Rich, another vet, is out, who was your other playmaker. You had to play Malachi Branham for the first time. And yeah, he went 1 for 7, but if you watch it, he really didn't play that bad overall,
mm-mm.
full game. So, there's so many guys and there's so many things. I'm losing my train of thought here. What were we just talking about?
You were kind of echoing what I was saying, and then you went on and said that even Malachi had a pretty decent impact on the game despite
Yeah.
going 1 for 7.
I mean, just the bigger point, this is what it was, is that they've played these guys 3 times in a row. Like
Hmm.
they would catch on to our personnel. You know what I mean? And we're
Yeah,
still being effective even when we're down to 9 healthy players on the roster out of what should be 15. So I think that's a big statement. But I do want to see, I want to wait and see like midway through the year. We have a tough stretch coming up
we
too,
do.
Ethan.
Be a
And
great
I
test.
think we're gonna learn a lot. Just to talk a little bit about that, let me pull up the schedule here because I believe the Clippers are in there. We have a couple games with the Nuggets as well.
The Warriors,
Um,
I'm pretty sure we play once.
yep, yep. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah. So Toronto starting Wednesday. Friday is LA. The Clippers. Then we have basically a weekend series, kinda with the Nuggets. We have Saturday and Monday, and then Memphis, Milwaukee, Golden State.
yeah,
So
that's going to be a gauntlet.
yep, yep,
If we
for
can win
sure.
half of those games, then I think we're the real deal. Like,
Hmm.
because I don't want to track. Like Minnesota should be a pretty safe playoff contending team.
Hmm.
Same goes for Philadelphia, and we were able to
I
beat them.
actually don't know about Minnesota. I think we might be exposing them a little bit. They have so
Yeah,
much talent. They could very
on
well make the
paper,
playoffs. But the thing is, I just wonder if this Rudy Cat thing's going to work out. But I get your point, though. I get what you're saying. They're definitely like a super
they
talented
should be
team.
better than
Right.
us.
Right.
Like 100%, they should
Yes.
be better than
Yes.
us. Yeah, and Romeo, the comments have been praising Romeo. Yeah, he had a good game defensively, I thought. Um, Aggressive getting to the cup. Obviously, his 3-point shots didn't fall. We can expect that, but he got
But
7 rebounds.
And he showed some other stuff off the dribble. He was
Yeah,
crafty around the rim. He had a floater. He was able to take guys off the dribble. I'm definitely eating my words. He's definitely better than Wieskamp. Overall, like yes, Wieskamp can shoot, but he does everything else, a little bit better. Got some more athleticism. So want
yeah,
to eat my words there. And I'm glad Weezy got picked up by Budenholzer. I'm sure as soon as that happened, like Pop was like, "Hey, bud, get this guy. You have
yeah.
Giannis. He'll help you." Like,
Facts.
So I was happy to see him get an opportunity there. Um, what
Yeah.
was just some of the other things? I mean,
Minnesota should have picked him up because they shot 14% from the three. They
for
needed
real,
some help
for
badly.
real. But Keldon, yeah, I'm sure you talked about him kind of in that long in your long spiel there. But just, I mean, think about how he's like kind of the main piece of the Kawhi trade.
He is. Him and
Like
Jakob.
That's Jakob too, and that's another thing. I mean, Jakob has been looking like you mentioned it last time, like a top 10 center. He's continuing to play that way, and he finds ways to contribute still when he doesn't have, he's not scoring 20 points, which he's been able to do just because he's so good of a glass cleaner. Um, and I want to say last night he only had 8 points. I don't, for some reason, I'm
At
losing the box
4.
score, or he had 4, but he had 14 boards, right?
Yeah, he leads the league in offensive rebounding, I
Yes.
think, right now.
Yep. Yep. Keldon had a block on Gobert. Our man Edward Fowler brings that up in the comments. Somebody else blocked Gobert too. I think it was Romeo. That was just such a fun game last night. But want to take it back a little bit to another really tough, gritty game from the guys to win it out. And that was another thing we didn't talk about the Minnesota game last night. Had a big lead, then they kind of came back, cut it to 3, but weathered the storm and got the win. In the Chicago game, it was a little bit way more back and forth, kind of having to fight back into it. What did you kind of see, being there live at the Chicago game on Friday?
It really looked like we wanted to win. Everybody was very physical and aggressive. I felt like defensively, Chicago came to play. It was offensively where they really couldn't find their rhythm. But I think that really does stem from the defense that we were able to play. Everybody, top to bottom, help defense has been very good this season. We swarmed the ball. There's not just one guy trying to box out Andre Drummond. We got 3 guys putting a body on their big center, going for the rebound. That was the difference in the game, I felt. And then Blake Wesley getting 10 points and Zach Collins getting 16 points. I know the big numbers are obviously Keldon and Pirtle, and then even Sohan to an extent. But for Zach Collins to come in the way that he did, being aggressive, getting points on both the interior and the exterior, again, it's just that next man up mentality. We don't know which guy's going to show up from night to night. Doug McDermott kind of
Mm-hmm.
had an off game. Isaiah Roby only had 6
And
minutes.
then he has 23 the next game.
Exactly. You never know who's going to be that dude to step up. And I think that's what kind of makes us deadly is you can't, or at least thus far this season, no team
Right.
has been able to truly kind of scheme up the Spurs because they're like, okay, let's just slow down Jakob Pertl. Okay, well then Zach Collins goes off. Okay, let's run Doug McDermott off the 3-point line. Isaiah
Uh-huh.
Roby might hit 20 or Keita Bates. Like you never
Just
know.
randomly. And it's
Yeah,
because we're sharing the ball. And, I was watching this NBA. So that was even though it's blocked in my area, I still, there's just no way. Literally, I
so
have
stupid.
to get direct TV stream if I want to have a streaming service
Ugh.
to watch these games. Anyways, it was on NBA TV yesterday. And so it was the main game, right? And so they
Yeah,
had their panel afterwards. It wasn't inside the NBA or anything, but it was still, they had some former players on. I don't even know who was on there, but they were talking about it. And they were like, the Spurs are just out executing people right now. And that's what we're doing. And Pop was talking about it. He's like, really, our biggest issue is when we just turn the ball over a bunch. That was our issue in the Minnesota game that we lost. We gave up 30 points off turnovers. I remember Bill and Sean were saying that in the broadcast. So that's basically what Pop was saying. He was like, when we start to get into the high 20s, close to 30 range of points off turnovers, that's when we start to lose games. But I'm like, that's what's causing us to lose games. We just don't have to turn the ball over. And yeah, that can happen with the young team with pace, but they've just been in the system now. Everybody's passing is really solid. And you were
yeah.
talking about this. I think you sent this to me before, just talking about Doug, or this might have been somebody else who was telling me this, but Doug was like, I'm really happy to play in this
Yeah.
Spurs system. You did send me this because
Mhm.
everybody shares the ball and everybody has an opportunity to score. And that goes to your point of Keita Bates having 18 last night. And we've seen him do that before. Last year, when the big joke last year is him giving LeBron 30.
Yep.
But that's, and obviously the offense was not the way it was this year, at least through these first 7 games. But like you said, I mean, we've seen Isaiah Roby, randomly hit 2 or 3 threes. Just it's so open because we're just looking to pass the ball. Everybody's playing so unselfish, and a lot of this run has been without Devin,
Yeah.
which
He's our guy.
right.
He on any given night he could be the best player on the court, and he wasn't even playing. Like
And they're proving that he's proving us right now with the We Hoopin' This Year thing. And same with Zach. You mentioned him earlier, and he's looking better and better every game. Defensively, aggressiveness, going for the ball. Last night, he was putting the clamps on Cat. on a
Yeah.
couple different one-on-one possessions. And that one play where he was diving and then like they lost it, somebody got it back, and then you just see Zach dive again. Like he's already been on the floor once. I was like, this dude, like he knows where he was deficient at, and it's very obvious that he's putting effort into being better at it. So he's proven us wrong from what we said earlier, and but I love it. As Spurs fans, I love it.
Yeah, same. I mean, you mentioned the assist, 37 assists against Chicago. That's otherworldly. If we can continue to get 30 plus assists every night, it's
Yeah.
really going to be difficult to stop the Spurs. And that really starts with Trey Jones. I feel
Hmm.
like he has been quietly like such a rock for our team. Like KJ Devin, they're going to get the points, they're going to get the notoriety, but Trey Jones has been so consistent. He hasn't turned the ball over. He hasn't played outside of his skill set, and he's been so steady offensively and defensively.
Another 8 assists last night. And that's shot 2 for 12. But that's the thing about Trey. Like, even when he doesn't shoot bad, one, he's never going to take bad shots,
Yeah.
right? And then on top of that, he's going to give you solid defense and playmaking. And Pop mentioned these three guys, and obviously this was more in the context of this game. Devin, we know Devin. We were just talking about it, right? But he was saying, Trey, Keldon, and Jakob, who've been here for a couple years, and Devin is really in this too because he's in that same draft class as Trey. Like they're young leaders. That was
Yeah.
the way that he described them. Like they've really just like kind of, but it's like it's in them. Like they seamlessly went into that role, and it makes sense because like as much as like Trey Jones is needed to develop, like think about it, the pressure of being the point guard at Duke for Coach K.
Yeah.
Like you
And,
have to
yeah.
be a leader,
And your brother is a
right?
point is
And
just
and
as
won a
good.
national championship.
Yeah.
So
It's in his
and
DNA.
that and Yak has just done such a great job this year. I mean, it's like now he's so much more versatile. It's never pretty, but it doesn't matter because he's finding ways to be more versatile offensively. He's taking dudes off the dribble this year too, and yes, it's just layups at the end of the day, but it's like Jakob's not getting picked and taking, even if it's another big, still he's taking somebody off the dribble. Like that's not something I was expecting from Jakob at all coming into this year. So
Yeah.
just love it.
Another thing I noticed in the Chicago game, I think it was just being there that I kind of really honed in on this is the
Hmm.
mentality of the team when their opponent goes on runs is better than in years past. I feel
Yeah.
like last year and the year before, if we were up by like 15 and a team whittled it down to like a 5 point
Hmm.
game or something, you could see it in our body language and in our aggressiveness to kind of get back into the game where we would kind of lay back and be like, oh no, they're gonna win, and then we'd be just mentally
Right.
out of it. And this season, it feels like okay, the Bulls came down, hit a really tough shot. Okay, well, Trey Jones or somebody's like, give me the ball. I'm going to push the tempo and try and
Mhm.
get that back as quickly as I possibly can, so that they don't have a chance to kind of get that momentum going. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it's kind of like
yeah.
a veteran mindset from Trey Jones and Keldon Johnson and even Sohan. I feel like Sohan does a really good job of that. I know he didn't play in Minnesota, but I don't.
You think about how much, like, he impacts. I know you got a little bit of dog bark. Don't worry, Ethan, we're with you. But what was I gonna say? Like, think about how much we talk about his impact, and it's I don't wanna understate it because he didn't play in the Minnesota game, but I think it just shows, like, how far along this team is, and I think it shows a lot of how solid defensively Romeo Langford is. That was
Yeah,
key also. But, like, once again, the fact they were able to win without him with the
yeah,
stuff that he's like all of the stuff that he's been doing for them that like we talked about kind of like that Draymond Green factor with him. Obviously, it's going to be better than Draymond, guys, but still like that factor of just like we talked about last time. Um
he's a Swiss Army knife.
yes,
And
Swiss Army knife. Yeah.
there was a moment in the Bulls game. I was sitting next to my dad, and is this on?
Yeah.
Well, that
Yeah.
might make it better. Do I sound better now?
I mean, I don't
Maybe
know.
not. Okay,
You sound the
whatever.
same.
Sound the same? Okay, good. Whatever. There's a moment in the Bulls game where Sohan he had already hit 1 3, so he was
Hmm.
1 for 1, and he caught the ball left wing, and he was kind of open. He could have taken
Hmm.
the shot. Nobody would have been mad at him, but they kind of closed out slowly, and he just took the ball. Immediately drove inside, and my dad was like, "Oh, what is he doing? Shoot it!" And he dumped it off to Jakob, and Jakob got an easy layup.
Hmm.
And it it might not seem like much, but that's a great play from a great rookie
Yep.
who is, smart enough to have the wherewithal not to take that shot. He's like, I
Mhm.
could, but I know I can get an easy shot for Jakob because he's a natural born playmaker. So yeah, you have a dog, yeah. It's my cousin's dog.
Well, no, this C.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So Sohan and that play embodies what the Spurs have been doing all year, which is I might have a good shot, but I know I can get my teammate a better shot, um, and that's what we continue to do. So that's so impressive from these young guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Blake Wesley, I know he got
Yeah.
hurt last night, but the way he stepped up in these past two games, because he was crucial in the beginning of that Minnesota game to helping them kind of get on that run. And he's just fit in seamlessly, like more comfortable than Malachi. And that's not me being like, I don't believe in Malachi. That's just saying like Blake Wesley seems just like it was in the summer league. Like it seems like he's just adjusting to the game of the NBA a little bit smoother. It's coming quicker for him, just like it is for Sohan. And I mean, just all of the dudes out because like I feel you would feel like last night was a testament to play style and that being a key factor as well, which you've got to give Greg Popovich and Brett Brown and the whole coaching staff their roses for that. But like all those dudes out, like Jay Rich, Devin, then Blake goes down, Sohan, Roby, right? We've talked about how we were playing that 3-man kind of power forward rotation. Like I felt
Hmm.
like those were kind of keys to the success that the Spurs were having. And it's just one game, but still, it's like a full powered Timberwolves team. And they came out and found a way to win last night, fought through some adversity, and blew them out. I mean, like
Wow.
just it was like everybody just fit back into the roles, next man up, and they did their thing. But the thing was, like, they were able to adjust to like the deficiencies a little bit because like Romeo's obviously very different than starting Jay Rich or Devin, you
Yeah.
know, and the way that they were able to adjust and find a way to still find spacing, like, and just seamlessly play together, I think it has a lot to do with the chemistry. Like I said, I think it has a lot to do with the coaching staff, and I think it has a lot to do with kind of what you said at the beginning of this. They're just a lot better than we thought, probably.
Blake Wesley when he
They
came in
Zach
against
played the
Chicago,
4 last night, and
he
granted,
did
it was a good matchup because the Timberwolves, already play like that. But it didn't matter if we were playing the Timberwolves last night; we would have had to run that just because of the situation we were in with all the injuries.
for sure. I don't even think Gorgie had but maybe like 3 minutes. Like he barely came in at all. I
Yeah,
thought he might get some more play time, especially since he's a bigger body. Maybe he can, bang with Cat. But Zach
we played
really
Doug
had
at the
no
4 a little
problem.
bit.
Yeah, I don't know. Shout out to Pop. You already said it. Shout out to Pop. He had a good game plan. But I was gonna say Blake Wesley against Chicago. He looked so confident and was
Hmm.
already running the offense. When he came in, I felt like, oh, okay, he'll be an off-ball shooter a little bit, kind of like how Primo
Hmm.
was rip last year. You know how Jay Rich
Oh
mainly
God.
was mainly the playmaker, and he was kind of an off-ball shooter, and we kind of
Hmm.
transitioned or tried to. I felt like that's what we were going to do with Blake, but no, he took over. He was calling out plays, moving guys around, and really being a floor general, but without being passive. A lot of times young point guards will go one way or the other, where they shoot too often and don't
Hmm.
play make enough, or they'll be too passive and not look for their own shot. He was able to find a good blend and score from the inside and the outside, as well as kind of move the ball around. So shout out to him for being poised and being ready at all times.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got a lot of skill, and I don't know if you saw in my post game, Ethan, I said this, and it's like, look, it's one game. But in all honesty, like he looked more comfortable. Like and you might have actually just mentioned this, and I was looking at comments and missed it. But he looked more comfortable than Primo has over the past 2 years, really in that role.
As a playmaker, as a facilitator, absolutely. I
And
felt the
that's
same way.
that's where we were playing him. I mean, obviously Primo could shoot and stuff, but like Wesley can do that too. So it's almost like he was ahead of where he's at. You shoot him like it's just
Yeah.
1.5 games basically. But what we've seen so far, I mean, he just looked very comfortable, and they were less turnover prone for sure. He had some turnovers, but yeah.
Jude, at what point in the season are we just gonna be like, okay, we're the real deal? Because like I feel like we'll be like 70 games in, and we'll be like 64-6, and Jude's like, we're only 70 games in. Like the
Guys.
playoffs are about to start, and then we'll get swept. Like let's keep our like it's gonna just be the rest of the year
I
for us.
think I think once it, like I feel like All-Star break, if we're like 5, 6, playoff seed, I think that's when I'll be convinced
Call
if
me
that happens.
crazy, but like every game I watch, I'm like, yeah, but we're gonna lose. This is the one where all of a sudden we're gonna start losing, and it's gonna be like, okay, this is who they are, But
Right.
I'm starting to have less and less faith in the losing, if that makes sense. Like that, we're just gonna start losing. Knock on wood. I mean,
Well, the problem is everybody's young,
yeah.
which means they just in their prime development stage. So like they can just keep getting better.
Would you be mad if we were winning? I feel like I wouldn't even
No,
be mad
I wouldn't
because
be mad. I'd just be very pleasantly surprised.
yeah,
I'd
it'd
be
be
like, "Oh
weird.
wow, you guys actually like no, you were." Then I'd be like, "Everybody was just playing 4D chess. Pop was just trolling when he said, don't bet on
Yeah.
us.'"
Literally, like, if for some reason we made the playoffs, I would be ecstatic, and I know,
Me
like,
too.
probably
Everybody would
half.
be like, "Oh my god," like we don't have a like key guy. It's like, but if you let it build, look at the Grizzlies.
Yeah, apparently we do have a key like, if we make the playoffs, apparently we have some
Keldon,
key guys. Yeah, because
Keldon, how old is he? Let me pull up Stat Moose, man. Like, there's Muse. I always mess
Moose,
that up.
Stat Moose,
Moose, Stat Moose. He's gonna change his logo to a moose now.
the
Um,
big 3 of Trey Jones, Keldon Johnson, and Devin Vassell.
the big three we never expected, but like we got Keldon Johnson at the 29th pick, and I know that we traded like a lot of the other ones that we got late, like Derek and Dejounte, but I mean, he's playing out of his mind right now. Like there were some stats. Like I said, I'm trying to pull them up right now. I'm trying to find it. I'm all over the place because I'm so excited because the Spurs are playing good, Ethan.
The front office has gotta be like, "Bro, we told Pop to not play Devin, not play J Rich. They still keep winning." It's like
Oh my
they won't not win.
god.
I
Oh my
can't wait
god.
till we play the Lake I'm going to the
Here it is.
Lakers game.
Go
I'm
ahead.
so excited. I'm going to the
Oh
Lakers
dude.
game.
Oh
I'm
my
so pumped.
gosh, dude.
I hope we just D up Lonnie so hard.
I hope we blow them out.
Oh
I
my
hope
god.
Keldon gives Braun 80.
I who's guarding Braun? Is it Sohan or Sohan
It
guarding
probably would
AD?
be. Oh well, if Sohan's guarding him, then it's wraps for him. He's going like it's single. It's
It's
single triple
wraps.
season. It's single triple season for the GM. Anyways, okay. Keldon is averaging more points and on better efficiency than Ant, Zach LaVine, Zion, Harden, and Paul George this year so far. 25 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists last night, career high, and 2 straight games shooting 50% from 3. Last night it was 5 for 10. In the Chicago game, it was 6 for 12.
I love his
24
jump shot.
points, 46% overall, 44% from 3, 80% from the free throw line. And you can tell he's got a little bit more bounce in it. And dude, I loved when he hit the dagger last night, like the way that he looked at the crowd, and then he was like, "This is my state." I was like, "Keldon, you're the franchise. Let's go."
It was
Oh,
so live against Chicago, bro. I'm not even gonna lie. I hadn't been to a game where it was that packed in a long time, and it was erupting.
this is disrespectful,
Oh
Edward.
no. It's so true though.
PTSD, man. I know.
I watched a Lakers game and he did it. He did it. He did stepped out of bounds. So sad.
Okay. So there's a couple things I saw earlier that people have been talking about. First, would you like to keep Jakob going forward? Because going into this season, it felt like he was kind of a trade piece, and they were specifically kind of talking about that. So, what are your thoughts on keeping Jakob for the future?
To be honest, I would love to keep Jakob Pertl. As a backup or as a starter. I think he could be great in both. I think he
Yep.
likes being in San Antonio. I think he's turned into a very formidable player and a great guy.
Hmm.
As far as I know. I got to say that from now on. As far as I know, great guy. Um,
Oh, we're
but
scarred forever.
yeah, if we're winning, if we're like really playoff contending,
Hmm.
I think we keep him. And even if
I
we
agree.
start to tank, I think we try and keep him
I
unless the
agree too.
package is just incredible. Like if they offer us 2 firsts and like like a young center, I
That's
mean,
true.
I
If it's
guess to get
something you can't refuse, take it.
yeah,
But
but I would personally like to keep him on the team.
I think there's a reason he's been around for so long too, and that we haven't traded him yet because he's had a bunch of value. There's been a bunch of rumors for a long time. And even to start the year, the first person when they were asking about the starting lineup, Pop joked. He was like, Jakob's our 5. We'll start there. But like,
Yeah,
he just does so many different things. And, you feel like, honestly, after last year, I felt like his ceiling was reached. But it's just like all of the things that he does to add versatility, it's like he's just keeping getting better at them. I mean, his scoring's going up. It's nothing impressive, but it does. Well, I say it's nothing impressive, but it is impressive the way he's improved because he's
mhm,
gotten better. Offensively in a lot of different ways. It doesn't look pretty, like I mentioned earlier, but he has continued to develop in areas where I thought he had hit his ceiling. In ways that it's like only Jakob would be able to develop in this way. But
yeah.
getting off of just Jakob, um, well, no, I mean that was the main reason we were talking about it. But yeah, I would love to keep him moving forward. Another thing that I saw up there, and it was are Devin and Keldon, and this is very early because we're 7 games into the season here. But I had this thought pop in my mind, and I saw somebody else mention it. Let me go up and find it here. It's are Devin and Keldon are like Tatum and Brown, basically. Is
Mm.
what they were saying. Let me find it. I want to say that was Edward. Yep, here it is. Here it is. See, I think so too. Obviously, I think it's in their own way, but I think they could both be future All-Stars. I mean, if they keep scoring the way that they are, then they're definitely a similar tandem.
I would agree. I would agree, but the only thing that would be the big difference here is that they would actually
Is
pass
it?
to their teammates.
Yeah. I was about to make a joke too. I was like, is the big difference that Keldon's way better than Tatum?
Well, I mean, dude, Tatum's just like a specimen at 6'10", but he is literally like just an ISO
He doesn't.
god. And I
But
don't want
he's
to
not a
trash.
big body. He doesn't have a very big body. Is the problem?
Exactly, exactly. I think
No,
yes, in
no,
the
no.
sense that
Of course,
they're
obviously, Jason Tatum is very, very good.
yes, yes. Two, if the comparison is just to have two all-star caliber wings,
Right,
then yes,
right.
that
And
is the
that was
case.
kind of what it is there. But I think it's also like in the way that we've kind of found them so young, and now we're giving them that opportunity, to be the team leaders.
Mm,
And they kind of did pop out of nowhere that year. I mean, they were definitely much more expected to go to the playoffs because they had Kyrie. But I mean, he wasn't even there, and they still made their run.
mm.
So it's kind of like that, but the first 7 games of the regular season. So it's actually not like that at all. But if the success continues, it would be like that.
Mm, mm. Oh no! So I just
Wow.
looked at the comments. He's
Yeah.
out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Wow. No. Well, thank you all for
Whew.
telling me this. I'm well, this makes me feel better a little bit because it's an MCL, and I mean it's never good either way. But obviously, an MCL is 6 to 8 weeks is a lot better than the whole season.
Yeah, that's true.
And when I saw it, we knew it was something with his knee. I was scared it was ACL, but still, like, remember how Dejounte walked off the court when he tore his ACL, and everybody was like, "Oh, he might be fine." That was kind of the feeling I got with this Blake Wesley injury. But I still, when it happened, I was like, I don't think he's out for the year. He may be out. Like I told you, I thought he'd be out for a couple weeks. So this is still longer than I thought. But I'm really glad that it's not the whole year because that means he can still get some significant minutes this season. But
That's
it means
true.
the Spurs will have to improvise a little bit. But it'll be really helpful to get Devin and Jay Rich back. Jay Rich will probably just be the point off the bench because he already had multiple 10 assist games anyway. So
The question is, Jude, now that JP and is gone for good,
mhm.
and Blake Wesley is injured, who do you play next to Jay Rich? Do you play Romeo Langford or do you play Malachi Branham?
They're gonna play Romeo.
I think
If
so
I
too.
mean if you're asking me, honestly, I'd play Romeo too. I know that sounds crazy, but it's like I think Malachi right now, I think it'd be good like go run the Austin Spurs for a little bit, and get comfortable. And once you're cooking those guys, then we'll bring it back up and maybe stagger their minutes a little bit.
Yeah. For as
I think he
good,
could benefit for some time, and it's just one
yeah,
game, but I think he could. Like I was mentioning earlier, I think that Blake Wesley has kind of just transitioned a little bit easier, where Malachi just needs a little bit more development, but he's definitely going to be fine. He's got a lot of skills, and his shot looks really good.
yeah, Malachi's more of a shot maker, like a for himself, than Romeo is, but we don't necessarily need a shot maker to, and on the second unit, that's kind of what Jay Rich and Doug McDermott are. Um, so I agree, but Malachi, keep your chin up, buddy, because Romeo might just play himself out of the second unit. Give him a
Very true.
chance, and he could do that. So just be patient.
That's why I figure like if Romeo really starts playing bad, okay, then just call Malachi back up. But give Romeo a chance here because
Yeah,
he looked good last night, and just because he's a little bit older, and you might as well see what he's got. And that's kind of what Pop hinted at. He was like, "I'm really glad." He said he might be our best on-ball defender, and he
yeah,
was like, "And we
he
wouldn't have
is.
seen that." Kind of, he's like, that was kind of a blessing in disguise of the injuries because they wouldn't have been able to see that if he didn't get the opportunity. So with those words, that's why I definitely think they'll play him. But I also think because Malachi's a rookie, you have the luxury of just sending him to the G League, letting him still be able to play and develop, and kind of do the same thing with Romeo. But Romeo's at a way different stage of his career. He's not 19 anymore. And if he sucks, then you can just bring up Malachi. So
What would be our defensive stopping lineup? Would it be Romeo at the point, Devin, Keldon, Sohan, and Jakob?
say that one more time.
Romeo at the point, Devin, Keldon, Sohan, and Jakob.
Is that our defensive lineup?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, I'd still put Trey. I'd still say
You
Trey is
still
the
put
best.
Trey?
Yeah, I know Pop said he's the best on-ball defender, but I'm
Mm.
still going to go with Trey.
Trey's very underappreciated in
Yes.
every way.
Yes. He's a really good defender. Like, that was kind of the first thing I noticed about Trey Jones when he came in. I mean, since he's been in the league, even when he wasn't getting much minutes, like, he's been able to play defense and play make.
Facts. Honestly, I think Keldon is underappreciated right now too. I think he's been really stepping it up defensively. I know our boys. I don't know if they're in here. Greg and over at Spurs versus everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, remember we talked about Keldon's ceiling, and they didn't think they thought he was a potato on defense.
Really? Oh,
You
no.
remember that?
That's tough. I didn't. No,
He's
I
stepping
actually
it
don't
up.
remember that. I can't believe it. I never thought that though. I felt like he wasn't like. I just felt like he was average. He was solid.
Yeah, I felt like it was just because he was guarding fours.
He's averaging 1 point. Well, great point, right?
Now he's guarding threes.
Right. It's like everything's better now that he's playing this. But he's up to 1.3 steals a game, and he intercepted a pass last night. He's getting better everywhere.
Yeah,
he's the franchise.
That's his nickname. We got to find nicknames, or I guess he's Big Body.
Yeah, he's Big Body, Mr. Franchise, Big Body.
What's Dev's nickname?
I think he's just Young Devo. That's his Twitter name, right?
We got to get a better one for Devin. I'm sorry, Devin, but that one's kind of. You can't say that one on a stream.
Oh my god!
How about Young Devo with the 30-piece? No, that's not good. Sprinkles is solid. Big Body, the Mustang, Young Devo.
I like how you did like it. I'm trying to think of another one for him though. Because we got the Mustang is Keldon's according to Pop, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of what they call him on the broadcast sometimes too.
If only Devin was number 3, we could just DV3. But
that'd be fun.
DV24.
He's Kobe. I don't know.
Baby Mamba.
Baby Mamba. Slim Mamba.
Ooh,
kind of like that.
Okay, we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
Trey needs one.
I like how we're just all copying like Spurs nicknames. Oh wow, Siri, she interrupted.
Sorry. Yeah, so I'm sorry.
Why is she sorry? What'd you do to her, Ethan?
I had her between my thighs, and I guess I squeezed her too hard. She went off.
Oh yeah, gosh. I don't even remember what we were talking
Vlasy Vassell, Aaron. That's good.
So, that's right. All the nicknames. I don't know.
Devin D. Dude.
I can't think of any.
We'll figure something out. We
got to figure it out. We got to get like everybody a nickname.
Our own SSPN nicknames, or what the world calls them.
Well, ideally, they're first the SSPN nicknames, and then they're what the world calls them. But
okay. We have to find a new one for KJ, or is he just going to be Big Body?
No, I think he can. Yeah, his are all good, but we got to get some for Devin. We got to get some for Trey. We got to get some for Jakob, Zach Collins. Jay Rich is Jay Rich. That just kind of
Zach Attack. Yeah. The Great
I,
White Hope.
the great um
Doug can be the
his
stroker.
paleness.
His paleness. Oh, that's good.
That's okay. This is what I was saying earlier. So like with I said Slim Mamba for Devin. Like
Yeah.
we stole it. So many people steal Kobe names. Like we have Red Mamba, and that's
Yeah.
freaking Scalabrini uh
Matt
and
Bonner.
yeah, even though we call them the Red Rocket too.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I like the Devin the Cell. Ooh,
Ooh,
that one's good.
that's a good one too. Because he locks people up. But I like
Locks
this one.
you up.
Lockup is solid.
Yeah, Blockup is good.
Lockup's a good one.
Is he saying what? What's he saying what to? Connor
I don't know.
McLeod. The cell is sick. Yeah, dude, that one's
Given
cool.
the Silva.
Devin the Cell. The show. Who's the show? Oh, is this our show?
Yeah, I'm sure he's
Oh,
talking about us. Appreciate it, Antoine.
yeah.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
watching.
Antoine. I thought it was about like a
Let's see.
nickname.
Well, let's see. So we got Wednesday. The Spurs will be back in action against the Raptors, and that will kind of be a tune-up for the rest of these. I'd actually, for the first time this season, I'll say I expect us to win that one. I'll go ahead and say we'll pull it out if we keep playing the way that we've been playing.
Duravacil.
It's
That's
solid too.
good.
I like this one, Zach Wall Street Collins. He looks like somebody off Wall Street.
Yeah, a finance bro.
Yeah,
Looks
we
like a
need to
finance
call
bro.
him. What's Is Jordan Belford? Is that the main character in Wolf of
Yeah,
Wall
and Wolf of
Street?
Wall Street,
Yeah,
the wolf.
that's Zach. Zach's Jordan Belfort.
Vassell does play like Reggie Miller a little bit. You never noticed that?
He's gonna tell our biggest rivals.
Oh, dude, that'd be so sick.
Mm-hmm.
Reggie Miller is probably my top 5 favorite players all time. Maybe second.
I love Reggie Miller too.
I love Reggie. We gotta find nicknames, better nicknames.
We do. But for this stretch, so after that Toronto series, and I'm sure we'll be doing some post games for some of these too, but just to preview the week a little bit, we have the Raptors on Wednesday, and then we have the Nuggets on Friday. What are kind of your early predictions here? I'll go 1-1. I'll say Raptors get the job done, and then the Nuggets. I think that will be competitive, but I think that we'll just fall in a tough one there.
Yeah,
that's really me being conservative, and I feel like they could totally prove me wrong, like they have the whole year.
Yeah,
wouldn't be surprised if they won. Is the crazy thing.
I think the same thing. I thought really talented centers would be the way to beat the Spurs, but who knows? We beat Minnesota twice. I don't if you consider Cat like a talented center and Rudy Gobert, but I feel like the MVP Nikola Jokic is just going to be too much to bear. And then plus Jamal Murray's back. Is MPJ back? Pretty sure he is. Aaron Gordon. That's just a little too much star power. Probably competitive, like you said, but they'll take over in the third or fourth quarter and kind of pull away. That'll be my guess. But I do think we can beat Toronto. I think we have the defensive capabilities to stop up Pascal Siakam and all of their length. I think Sohan might, just put him in jail. So.
Nope. So is
1-1.
Sohan the cell? Are we just
So
the
him.
police? It's our defense.
We're the police.
Our
Popo.
defense.
What's the number?
We just lock everybody up.
What do you call the police when it's like a number?
12.
12. We're 12.
We're 12. Yeah. Oh gosh. That means everybody doesn't like us.
That's fine.
Well, there you go. They won't like us because we beat the crap out of them every game.
I just almost made a very bad joke. I'll tell you off air.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, our man Dylan says, do we know when Devin comes back? I would expect him to be back Wednesday. That's not confirmed, but Pop said he'll be back very quickly or something like that in the press conference. So I'm for sure Devin will be out or not out. He'll be back. He should be good.
Same with Jay Rich, I'm pretty sure. That was just rest.
Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It was like a little bit of left back soreness, but it was very like precautionary. So good stuff. But yeah, good times in Spurs world to start the season. Ethan, any final thoughts to wrap up this SSPN Live?
Drop some comments for some nicknames. We need some nicknames.
Yes, we need some good ideas. And if you have any other questions or you want us to do some videos over anything else, like any topics that we didn't cover in this one that you guys would like us to cover, hit us up with those in the bottom below. And we'll either the next SSPN Live, we'll talk about them, or maybe we'll make a little separate video about them to answer them too. So anyways, we appreciate y'all so much. And if you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe below. I saw a lot of new subscribers after this weekend. Obviously, there's a bunch of news, but we appreciate y'all. Welcome to the family. Me and Ethan, we're just two Spurs fans who love talking Spurs and love hanging out with y'all. So if you want to stay updated with the show, follow us on Twitter at SSPN on YT. You can watch the show there now. At Jude McLaren to stay updated, at Ethan_Quintero, all that good stuff. We appreciate y'all. Go Spurs, go. We're 5-2, and we'll catch y'all later.